Welcome to Kapeleris Ultimate Talk TV. Be inspired, informed, and elevate your mind one step at a time. Talking about life, real estate, business, and beyond. Your host, author, speaker, real estate broker, Carmela Zita Kapeleris.
Welcome to Kapeleris Talk TV. One of the hottest topics today is the real estate market. And here to talk more on that is real estate team Domenic and Jody Manchisi from Milton, Ontario. Welcome.
Thanks, you, Carmela.
How is the real estate market in Milton? Is it as busy as Mississauga?
Oh my, yes, as
Definitely.
busy as we are. Definitely part of the GTA.
Yes.
Some people tend to think that we may not be getting multiple offers, but we've had up to 16 and even 20 on some properties coming in and multiple offers in Milton.
I know, it is just crazy right now.
Yeah, fantastic for the sellers, but not so much for the buyers.
Exactly. And in this busy market, almost every house listed for sale right now has a designated offer date.
Yes.
Correct?
Most.
Most do, and this is very frustrating for the buyer. Some buyers are blaming real estate agents. What's your take on that?
I don't know if you can totally blame the real estate agent, because I'm not a big fan of holding multiple offers, as Jody will confirm.
Definitely.
And on some of our latest listing presentations, when going to interview some of the sellers, they're actually requesting that we do this.
Exactly. So it is the seller that is asking for this, not so much the real estate agents. We're just going with the market and what the seller wants. So how long should a buyer or their agent, a seller or their agent hold back offers, and why?
I would think that you'd want to hold back offers over a weekend.
Yes.
And maybe hold it over to a Monday.
Yeah, that gives the seller the opportunity, and their agent, of course, to market through those days and have those open houses to get as much traffic to the home as possible, and also give the agent time to market online and, again, do their job to get the most buyers to the house.
Yeah, and possibly have interested buyers go through for a pre-inspection or bring their family members. So I think that's, it's not a coincidence. It's timed that way for a reason, to get everybody through, right?
Definitely, and then everybody has the same chance.
Yes, exactly. Holding back offers is very strategic and should be handled by someone who's experienced, because holding back offers can also backfire.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
So one of the things when I'm on a listing appointment and I do get the request from a seller that they want to hold offers back, I do explain to them that the risk that we may take is it may turn some of the buyers off. So you may get a really well-qualified buyer that's willing to pay your price, come through the home, and then decide not to do an offer because of this. If it rolls around, Tuesday morning and you haven't got multiple offers, then you may be in the situation where that particular motivated buyer is now even going to offer you less. Exactly. So it is a little bit of risk, even on the seller's side of the ball game.
Right, that's true. All right, you have any other?
No, I definitely agree with Domenic, and I guess the opportunities that the buyers do have during this process is what they're now calling the bully offer, in a sense.
Exactly, which was what I was going to mention next, that sometimes together with a designated offer date, agents and their sellers are also opting for preempted offers, which are bully offers, right?
Exactly.
Can you explain bully offers a little bit more
So
thoroughly?
our last experience with a bully offer was with a home on Childs Drive in Milton. We were holding offers till the Monday as a request of the seller, and we had a bully offer come in, which was significantly over list price. Now it did have one or two conditions in it. So if you're working with an agent that isn't as experienced as another agent, they may take that bully offer and go present it to the client.
Right.
What we did as experienced agents is we jumped on the phone and started to call all agents that not only showed the property, but also had appointments booked in the future. So we still were able to generate 5 offers on this property.
Right.
And the initial offer, which was a bully, actually ended up paying $35,000 more than what they initially came in with because we did send it into competition. So this is very, very important reason why you need to list with an experienced agent, especially in this type of market.
Of course, and that is the proper way to do it, you know, to notify everyone. Even though it's a bully offer, you must let everybody know. I think we're required as real estate agents to do that.
Right.
But there's other risks that come with bully offers. You know, like I think that some inexperienced agents may not get their sellers the most price for it. Can you think of any other challenges that might come with that?
Well, I think there's a lot of risk on the buyer's end too.
Right.
Because I'm a mortgage agent as well. So Jody and
Yes, you
I
are.
also arrange mortgages for clients. So most real estate agents can't appreciate the fact that even though a client is pre-approved for a certain price, that if they overpay or overpay higher than list price, that particular home wasn't to appraise, that their buyer, who has now gone on firm and removed their condition of financing, may be required to pay the difference.
So Jody, can you explain what Domenic means by the difference in price on an appraisal?
Yeah, so let's say the buyer pays $700,000 for the house. And the house is listed at 700, sorry, and that goes into competition, and like everybody else, it goes over asking, and let's say they pay $750,000 for the house. Well, their financing, their bank is going to want to go in and do an appraised value to make sure whatever mortgage amount meets the criteria that they're purchasing the home for.
Right.
So if the house appraises, let's say for 720,
Yes.
on the high end, then that buyer now has to come up with a $30,000 difference out of pocket because the bank will only mortgage up to the appraised value, which in my scenario here is $720,000. Now, if somebody's 5% down, correct me if I'm wrong, Dom, but there might be a problem with CMHC
Right.
with that.
Right.
Right, because the way CMHC conducts an appraisal is computerized. So if they go into the computer, the first thing they look at is what the agent, who is supposed to be the professional, has listed this home at,
Right.
which is supposed to be market value
Right, which is hard to gauge right now in this market.
because of how hot it is.
Yes.
So if they look at 700,000 and then they notice the home down the street sold for 690 or 695 and they put an appraised value
Right.
at 700, now you're working with a client that only has minimum down payment, and now they're forced to come up with $50,000 extra. They've already bought the home firm. So this could be a problem for both the buyer and the seller on closing.
Great, yes, that is great advice and good information for the people out there, because a lot of the offers are coming in firm, no conditions on financing
Right.
or home inspection. So as an agent, and I'm sure you do too, I always recommend to the seller that we get a bank pre-approval letter regardless of the fact that it's a cash offer or firm with no condition on financing, and that possibly the buyer should go in for a pre-inspection too if needed.
Yes.
So I'm sure you agree on that, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, more importantly, the buyer's agent should really be educating the buyer on that possibility of paying too much, and again, that appraised value, so that's not a shock to them.
Exactly, exactly. When there's more than one offer on a bidding war, what does the listing agent have to tell all of the bidders or all the people making the offer? What is the responsibility of the listing agent that they have to do when they have a multiple offer? What must they tell all offers?
Well, of course, our responsibility is our seller, first and utmost.
Correct.
But we do have to be fair to all the buyers.
We have guidelines that we follow, right?
Exactly. So if you have multiple offers on the table, you really have to give the choice to your seller. You know,
Right.
do you want to negotiate with one offer, or would you rather us go back to all the agents and ask them to better their offer and renegotiate that way?
Right.
I think the risk factor in doing that, which most agents don't explain to their seller, is if you go back to all the buyers and you send all the offers back, that all the buyers could jump in the car and drive away.
Yes, that's
So,
right.
Yeah, and sometimes I wonder if all the agents are explaining this correctly to their sellers.
Yes, that's true. And I think we abide by the guidelines where we have to let all the other offers know how many offers there are, and we have to let them know if any offers are from the listing agent or the listing agent's office. Those are things that we need to disclose right away on the account summary or when people call in.
Definitely.
There is another thing called collateral agreements, which maybe you can talk on, because that's also something that you need to disclose when there's multiple offers to all the bidders, correct?
Right. So an experienced agent, that's usually the reason why they ask right away, is one of the offers yours or is it coming from your office? Because one of our rules while in competition is we cannot reduce the amount of commission in order to make the deal work, because then we're not being fair to all parties. But if we have a collateral agreement in place, that means we've negotiated a discount in commission before we offered the property for sale.
Right.
So in the event where I were to tell my seller, listen, if we get our own offer, we're willing to reduce our commission with our own offer, I would have to give that benefit and let all the other buyer's agents know that we have a
Yes.
collateral agreement in place, just so they know that we're going to be reducing a portion of the commission in regards to our own offer.
Correct. So we need to disclose that, and we always do. Those are the things that are more important to disclose to all the buyers that have offers. And there's up to 20 offers now on properties, so that's a lot of work, extra work right now in today's market. But it's good for the seller, not so much for the buyer. So Domenic, during a bidding war, can the listing agent disclose the price of any of the offers? Most people think that we know the offers on the prices coming in, and they are always not sure what to bid. So they say, well, what are the prices? What are the other bids? We actually can't disclose the bids, correct?
No, and even if it was my listing and I was negotiating on the behalf of the seller, and it was even one of my own agents on my team, I am not allowed to disclose the price of the other offers.
That's right.
So you have to, again, that's being fair to everyone.
Right.
So the only people that are going to know what the actual offer prices are is going to be your listing agent and your sellers. So unfortunately for the buyers, they just need to offer, I always tell my buyers to offer as much as what they're willing to lose the property for.
Right.
This way, if the property goes for $1 more, at least they're satisfied with their bid.
Right, correct. And another thing is when some of the buyers lose out on the offer, they always ask us what the offer sold for.
Right.
And you have a comment on that.
Yes. So after we all work hard at the end of the night and we end up accepting an offer, 99% of the time it's a firm offer.
Yes.
And then right away you have the other agents asking you, hey Dom, I didn't get the offer, what did it sell for? So I always tell my team, we cannot disclose the sale price until I receive a deposit.
Exactly.
So even on an accepted offer, we may not receive the deposit till the very next day.
Right, that's it.
So at that point, as a professional, then I'll get on the phone as a courtesy, and I try to let all the other agents know before we actually update the MLS, just as a courtesy.
Exactly, because the deposit check is important to all components of the deal.
Right.
Take us through the process of a multiple offer. When you have 5 offers, how would you do the steps?
The presentation to the seller?
Yes.
Well, when the 5 offers come in, I like to give, personally, it's just, I guess, my way of working. The first offer that comes in, I give that agent the first opportunity to present to the seller. So
and that's what I do too.
Yeah, I like everyone to come to the house and bring their buyer if they choose to. If there's any small changes on an accepted offer, then they're there. So we'll all sit down at the presentation table, usually the dining room table, and we'll let the first agent present their offer, and we'll go through it. I'll ask that agent to leave, and then I'll go through the offer with my client.
Usually we take notes and we give them the offer back, right?
Exactly, and then I'll invite the second, third in that order. So we don't have all the agents in there at the same time, and it's a private conversation between
people don't know
the seller and your listing agent. So once all the offers have been looked at, then we'll go through it and go over price, terms and conditions, and what's the best situation for the client.
That's right.
Yep.
So that's good because people don't really know how offers are presented. And now we don't really fax offers because the market is, or email the offers because the market is so hot. Usually
right.
everybody shows up, the agent, the buyer, the agent, the buyer. So sometimes you have like it looks like a wedding outside because you might have like 10 to 12 cars.
That's right.
Or more.
One of the scariest
things. I went to one the other day, there was 20 cars.
20, yeah, and then it's difficult.
Yes.
But one of the scariest things I've come across as a sales professional, as a broker, is when I'm following up with potential clients to put their homes on the market, and they decide to sell it on their own.
Yes.
Right now in this type of market, I would say that's the biggest negative thing you could do.
Exactly. You're going to be losing out.
You could be losing out big time because I've seen some of these sales come through, and because the seller doesn't know how to negotiate properly when trying to cause multiple offers, they end up leaving a ton of money on the table.
Exactly. That's so right. That's right, Domenic. Jody, you had another point about bully offers.
I did. And buyers should be aware along with their agent. So if a house goes for sale on a Tuesday and they're holding offers till Monday, and you want to see that house, you know you want to go on Sunday, well, book that showing that day, because this is what I've experienced. So we had a bully offer on a Friday night, and we told all agents who had booked showings already, we called all agents who had showings booked over the weekend and gave them the opportunity. So the following day, I had an agent call me, say, well, what do you mean it's sold? I'm trying to book an appointment today. We said, well, I'm sorry, we did call everyone that we had documented. So don't wait to book that showing. Don't rely on that presentation date.
Yeah, stay on top of it. The real estate market is being fueled by foreign investors right now because our dollar is so low. And the first-time buyers are having trouble getting into the market because their salary and income is not keeping up with the high rising prices in real estate.
Right.
Do you see a problem with that? And do you think prices are too high right now?
Well, it's all relative. So when I got into the real estate industry was 1996, which was actually the bottom of the market. If anyone bought a home in 95 or 96, you did very well.
Yes, they did for sure.
Yeah, and when I got into the real estate market, interest rates were between 7.5%. And all I've seen for 20 years is rates decrease.
Right.
And that fuels the buyer because it gives them more buying power. So a lot of people are saying, oh, we're getting this foreign investment and we have 250,000 people pouring into Toronto every year. And yes, this is all true and relative. But the biggest, as a mortgage person, the biggest mathematical equation that I've come across is your average household income is in and around between $70,000 and $75,000
roughly,
in our area. And if you look at interest rates at, say, 2.79%, if rates were to move in and around half a percentage point, say 3.19,
exactly,
still historically low, right? 3.19 sounds fantastic.
But it'll affect the market big time.
By $45,000 to $50,000. So how that affects our market is now, like you had mentioned, we haven't had lots of pay raises.
Yes.
So now this particular buyer that qualified for, say, $500,000 has now been knocked down to $450,000.
Yeah.
So what the sellers sometimes don't realize, if you take $50,000 away from the buyers, they're not going to be able to pay today's prices.
And if prices keep going up 50,000 every 3 months,
well, then we'll get inventory buildup like in the banking crisis in 2009, 2007. I'm sure you remember that.
Yes.
Where there was 10 houses for every one buyer.
Yes.
So I think interest rates is the biggest thing that we need to watch as a seller.
Yeah, because that's what's keeping the market still okay for now.
Exactly.
But it will make a difference. Okay, so in your opinion, what is the most important mistake that buyers make?
The most important, what do you think, Jody?
Oh my goodness. Educating yourself.
Yeah, I think so.
Market awareness is very important. When you start looking, even if you feel you might be a little bit out if a little bit
Early.
3 months down the road or whatever, get out and start looking at houses and become market aware and be
Hire an
confident.
agent. I find a lot of
buyer
them
representation,
so
I think, is
important.
one of the biggest mistakes that buyers make
Yeah.
because they're calling every agent out there to help them, but all they need is one exclusive agent to represent them, and that's probably one of the biggest mistakes they make and why they're losing out on offers.
Well, there's a mindset out there like I'm going to work with the listing agent so I get a better deal, but there's so much red under the line there that they're just not aware of. I mean, that listing agent is working for his seller at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So you're not necessarily going to get the best deal.
Yeah,
That's right. Well said, Jody.
Yeah, so if you want the best deal, I think what the buyer needs to do is go out and maybe meet 2 or 3 or 4 agents and sit with them.
Yes.
And then they can find out who they feel is not only going to do the best negotiating for them, but is going to protect their family in their best interests, because this is the biggest investment you're ever going to make,
Say that,
right?
Yeah.
Right. Before we leave, Jody and Domenic, give us some effective strategies for the buyers to use when negotiating in an offer right now.
Sure. Would you like to?
I would start by saying have a strong agent on your side and who has your best interest at heart.
Number one.
Even though we're in multiple offer situations, I'd say, you know, try the bully offer, give it a go. If you got a strong
We always
person
do.
on your side, you should be able to get the job done.
Yeah. Try to get your financing done ahead of time.
Financing, very important, your
So,
financing.
so when we put together an offer and we're in a multiple offer situation, we don't just send that offer. We send an offer, and we also send a letter from the mortgage lender stating that they're pre-qualified.
Yes.
We will actually shoot a video, which is pretty simple nowadays, right off our phone. And the video is actually our buyer telling the seller how much they love their home and they want to make it for their family.
That's a nice touch.
Well, I mean, sometimes these sellers, give or take $5,000, they've lived in their home a long, long time. They've raised their family there.
They have an emotional attachment.
Exactly. So some people forget about that emotional attachment that's involved with that particular deal.
Yeah.
And especially if you're going in with still contingent on financing, you want to have that pre-approval there.
Exactly.
And then you want to explain to that seller that we have that contingency there to protect you as well. Because you don't want to turn around and sell your house to somebody for $50,000 over asking and they have no money on closing, because then you could have a big problem.
That's perfect. Thank you for all that great information. How can people reach you?
They can reach us at our office at 905-875-4594, or you can always feel free to call me on my cell phone at 416-702-4663.
And your website, Jody?
www.manchisiTeam.com.
Great. Thank you both for being here. That was a pleasure.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you
us.
for having us, Carmela. It was great.
Thank you.